I think that's really the battle, is over the heart and soul, because now Congress is doing whatever they're told. They're following NATO, you know, being told NATO gives our military orders. So now it's gotten so bad. I mean, I'm starting to see a real awakening. Are you seeing that?
I absolutely am, and that's why I've been working really hard. And I think I'm seeing the dividends of this work. But I've been reaching out because at one point, it became clear to me that it's not black or white. It's not a racial thing anymore. They were just practicing on us, and now they've expanded to the larger community. And so the old paradigms, the old political paradigm, left, right, you know, communist or whatever, all of that is no longer relevant. It's wrong versus right.
Yep, that's it.
That's right. And
it's tyranny versus liberty, and both parties are bought and paid for by the same foreign banks, and they brag in the news they've conquered us.
That's why I've been reaching out to Oath Keepers, and I've reached out to this young man. We've been trying to connect Dan Johnson, who is leader of these individuals who have decided that they're going to draw a line in the sand on NDAA. And what I want to do is I want to partner with all of the people of this country who want to draw a line in the sand. I'm ready.
It is coming down to that when they say, yeah, we'll torture you. Yeah, we're spying on you without warrants. Yeah, we're going to take your pension funds and give it in a banker bailout. It is so cold-blooded. Now, I want to get into white slavery rings. That means sex trafficking for new listeners out there and what you have exposed. The UN estimates that in just the last decade, over 2 million people were trafficked out of Europe alone, millions out of the Middle East, Africa. This is a giant industry. And who runs it? The big defense contractors. I want to play just a few minutes of you talking right to Donald Rumsfeld and the Pentagon brass in front of you. Talk about guts. Here's a short clip of that. Of Congresswoman Cynthia Mckinney talking to folks. It's not ready. We called for it at the start of the last hour. I mean, we got it queued up. Start telling folks about that, and then we'll play the clip.
Well, I would also just like to mention there's another clip of me with Chertoff. And Chertoff, as every time I'm going to the airport today, and every time you go through an airport, you know, I think about the Chertoff machines that make him very wealthy. So this idea of us challenging, like the young people of We Are Change and like Luke Rutkowski, I mean, there are some young people who have decided that they're going to do what Mario Savio said, and that is put their entire bodies against the gears and the levers and the wheels of the machine. And they're saying to the owners, you know, if you don't stop it, we're going to stop it, which is really beautiful. You're right. There is an awakening, and I'm just happy to be able to see this awakening now, but I want to see more as well.
Wow. Yeah, we do have that clip actually queued up. And again, if anybody wants to watch it in full, just type in Cynthia Mckinney grills Donald Rumsfeld. Here is that clip of her in Congress. What year was this when you did this?
That was 2006.
2006. And here's just part of it. Here's part of that hearing.
I thank the gentleman, the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McKinney.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I watched President Bush deliver a moving speech at the United Nations in September 2003, in which he mentioned the crisis of the sex trade. The president called for the punishment of those involved in this horrible business. But at the very moment of that speech, DynCorp was exposed for having been involved in the buying and selling of young women and children. While all of this was going on, DynCorp kept the Pentagon contract to administer the smallpox and anthrax vaccines and is now working on a plague vaccine through the Joint Vaccine Acquisition Program. Mr. Secretary, is it policy of the U.S. government to reward companies that traffic in women and little girls? That's my first question. My second question, Mr. Secretary, according to the Comptroller General of the United States, There are serious financial management problems at the Pentagon, to which Mr. Cooper alluded. Fiscal year 1999, 2.3 trillion missing. Fiscal year 2000, 1.1 trillion missing. And DOD is the #1 reason why the government can't balance its checkbook. The Pentagon has claimed year after year that the reason it can't account for the money is because its computers don't communicate with each other. My second question, Mr. Secretary, is who has the contracts today to make those systems communicate with each other? How long have they had those contracts? And how much have the taxpayers paid for them? Finally, Mr. Secretary, after the last hearing, I thought that my office was promised a written response to my question regarding the 4 war games on September 11th. I have not yet received that response, but would like for you to respond to the questions that I've put to you today, and then I do expect the written response to my previous question, hopefully by the end of the week.
Thank you, Representative. First, the answer to your first question is no, absolutely not. The policy of the United States government is clear, unambiguous, and opposed to the activities that you described. The second question.
Well, how do you explain the fact that DynCorp and its successor companies have received and continue to receive government contracts?
I would have to go and find the facts, but there are laws and rules and regulations with respect to government contracts, and there are times that corporations do things they should not do, in which case they tend to be suspended for some period. There are times then that under the laws and the rules and regulations passed by the Congress and implemented by the executive branch, that corporations can get off of out of the penalty box, if you will, and be permitted to engage in contracts with the government. They're not generally not barred in perpetuity.
This company was never in the penalty box. If you could proceed to my second question, please.
The second question. I've forgotten what the second question was.
I think Ms. Jonas knows it.
Okay, that's enough. And again, there's hours of this, but that's why they hate her. That's 2006. That's why they've gone after her. We've got 10 minutes left here, a little bit less, former Congresswoman Cynthia Mckinney. I think you need to be back in Congress, obviously, and I hope you do run again, and I hope the electronic voting machines don't keep you out. Because, I mean, you've got to be able to beat a guy that says islands are floating around and everything else. But, I mean, again, they always talk about women being grabbed. If you go read the actual reports, as you know, this sex slavery is little kids, some of them in snuff films. Saudi Arabia, Israel, a bunch of other Asian countries, that's where these kids are going, and it's just left alone. And there's even PBS documentaries, and then it's this cause celeb to talk about sex slavery, but they're always busting some low-level pimp that's running a few prostitutes, you know, that's bad enough, but they're never talking about the real deal, I mean, I could pull up UN murdering children and show photos right now. I don't want to show it on TV, but go ahead, Congresswoman.
Well, I was just going to say that you're absolutely right. And if you recall, there was the scandal really in Haiti of missionaries that were taking young Haitian kids, and the Haitian government caught them before they were able to escape over into the Dominican Republic. But we've had a situation that was actually adjudicated in the courts with another situation of gentleman, well, not really a gentleman, but a person going down to Haiti and stealing kids and bringing them back up to the United States. So this is really a problem, and you're right, it's an international problem, and our government ought to really stand up against it.
Wow, I'm just speechless listening to you. And it's amazing how they'll take the crimes they're committing and then they'll create the opposition to the sex slavery and then they'll lead it so they can control the debate and whitewash it.
Absolutely. And I guess you call that controlled opposition. And what we have to be able to do, those of us who view ourselves on the outside of the political system and are trying to impact it, what we have to be able to do is to identify the gatekeepers, identify the controlled opposition, and identify those who have a kind of spirit and a kind of heart that will allow us to penetrate all of the obstacles that are put forward against us. And it is possible for us to do that. I remember a quote from Bobby Kennedy, who said that a million ripples joined together can wash down the mightiest walls of oppression. And I believe that.
I agree with you. Look, it's simple in history, and I know you're very well read and studied and have lived a lot as well. But when you give into corruption, the corrupt don't understand if they're just stealing money or they're just, doing something that's seen as mid-level, that then they can't say no to the next corrupt person who's a little more corrupt than them. And then it's a little more corrupt and a little more corrupt. And pretty soon the UN is delivering kids, 3-year-old toddlers, to a snuff film production company in Italy where they rape them and blow their heads off. I mean, and that's a real case I just mentioned that came out on Italian television, and they fired the Italian producers, even though it was confirmed, because the snuff films were meant for distribution in California.
Wow.
I mean, folks, for CIA, FBI, all of you on your petty power trips, all of you that buy your propaganda, you're signed on to a global corporate combine that blows the heads off of 3-year-olds, okay? I mean, that smart bombs whole families to kill one guy. We have signed on to evil collectively, and we've got to say, whoa, put the brakes on, no more. And that's what's so sick about Obama is the Obama supporters get this crazy look in their eye and go, you're just racist, you're just mad he won. I'm like, Romney's bad too. But Obama is the more effective evil. Don't you get it's all manufactured? And they just smile at me and say, shut up, racist. And I'm just like, no. Don't you understand? And I can't get through to people. They just won't listen.
It is all manufactured. And that's why people couldn't believe when they would ask me, as if I was a part of this great spectator sport. You pulling for, Romney. I know you really want Obama to win. But the bottom line is that the drones are flying no matter who won. The bombs are dropping no matter who won. And the policy will continue until we, the people, and this is what I keep saying over and over again. And that's why I want so much to redraw the political boundaries. We have to join together, washing down all of those expected divisions. So, for example, when I came back from Cape Town, South Africa, and had this so-called FBI threat against me.
Hey, I tell you what, can you do 5 more minutes with us to tell that story about the Middle East? Okay, former Congresswoman Cynthia Mckinney, 1-minute break. We're coming right back to her. And we've got in-studio guests coming up on the 10th Amendment and how to restore the Republic, as well as the 9th Amendment and the First Amendment. It's all coming up. Washington has been seized by foreign banks. What are we going to do about it?
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Millions of people are going to get sick this winter from colds, flu, and other illnesses. Don't be one of them. Protect yourself with Supernatural Silver, a revolutionary new broad-spectrum antibacterial solution. Recent advances in silver technology have resulted in a silver solution that can be used daily to prevent bacteria, viruses, mold, and food poisoning, and help improve wound healing. Supernatural Silver is safe enough to consume every day, while powerful enough to destroy the causes of many serious diseases, such as strep, staph, pneumonia, colds, flus, and other harmful pathogens. This new technology has the ability to terminate entire colonies of harmful bacteria at several hundred times the effectiveness of colloidal or ionic silver solutions. The Science Digest journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Go to supernaturalsilver.com today and use the promo code SILVER2012 for 20% off. That's supernaturalsilver.com, and like us on Facebook.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government